These are 9 examples to practice the types of sampling techniques that we are working on in Unit 4. Number 1, every 5th teenager entering a concert is checked for possession of drugs. As long as the first teenager is randomly selected, then every 5th teenager as a rule is selected after that. That would be systematic random sampling. Always look for the rule for that one. A researcher randomly selects and interviews 50 male and 50 female teachers. So right here, you're thinking, okay, there's groups. I have 2 groups of participants. Ask yourself this question. Does each individual group represent the entire population? Okay, one group is all male. Is all male going to represent the entire population? No. So this is stratified because we took the entire population and we broke it down by characteristic. In this case, it looked like we broke it down to assigned gender. So that would be stratified random sampling. Number 3, a researcher for an airline interviews all of the passengers on 5 randomly selected flights. So there 5 groups. So again, this is groups. As soon as you hear groups, it's going to be stratified or cluster. And in this case, you're thinking, does one randomly selected flight represent all the flights on the airline or represent the population of people who use the airline? And that's a yes. So you're not splitting these participants. You're not splitting the population up into groups by characteristic like first class, business class, economy, etc. You're taking little mini groups of the entire population, which in this case is cluster sampling. Number 4, in a recent television survey, participants were asked to answer yes or no to the question, are you in favor of the death penalty? This used to be a thing that they did where they would put a phone number on TV and they would say, call in and answer this yes or no to this question. So 6,500 responded yes, while 3,700 responded no. There was a 50-cent charge for the call, which is bias. So since these people volunteered, they self-selected to take the survey, and this is a voluntary response sampling technique. And this is a little bit biased because if people couldn't afford the 50 cents or they didn't think it was worth it or didn't feel strongly enough to pay the 50 cents to share their opinion, then you're not really getting everyone's opinion necessarily. Number 5, a lobbyist for a major aerospace firm assigns a number to each legislator and then uses a computer to randomly generate 10 numbers. The lobbyist contacts the legislators corresponding to these numbers. This is just like picking them out of the hat. It's simple random sampling. Instead of a hat, you use a computer to do the work for you. Number 6, a market researcher randomly selects 200 drivers under 35 years of age and 100 drivers over 35 years of age. So you have 2 groups. So here groups, if it's groups, it's stratified or cluster. You split these groups up by a characteristic, which is age. So this is stratified. To avoid working late, the quality control manager inspects the last 10 items produced that day. The quality control manager is lazy. This is biased. It's convenience sampling. We don't really want to do that, but I guess you got to do what you got to do. Number 8, a researcher for a publisher randomly selects 85 of the nation's middle schools and interviews all of the teachers at each school. So each school, they're all middle schools. They're sort of all similar to each other and they're all groups. So this is cluster random sampling. The principal asks every student to fill out the survey about school discipline. So this could actually be 2 depending on the scenario. So if it was a mandatory situation, it's census. And if it was a voluntary situation, then it would be self-selected or voluntary response.